Big news for anyone with government-backed student loans, and a grisly crime scene as four men are murdered and dismembered in northeastern Oklahoma. Plus, here comes Jack Frost. When and where Oklahoma will see its first freeze. This is OU Nightly. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Summer Miller.
And I'm Jayden Brannon. We begin tonight with a big change in the weather. We're expecting our first freeze of the season.
Lauren Brand joins us live. Lauren, heard we're talking about a freeze watch. What can you tell us about how we should gear up for this cold weather?
Yeah, we are. We are going to see a little bit of a cool down. We definitely had to break out those jackets because it's starting to feel like sweater weather just a little bit here on campus. And we are going to see a cool down into the middle of next week. And now, mainly Oklahoma, we are going to be seeing a freeze warning throughout the state. This is going to be mainly in Tulsa, but we are going to see a little bit of a watch down here in Norman. And this is going to be in effect Tuesday morning, so we are going to see just a little bit of that, but Wednesday morning is when we are going to see this main threat, and you're definitely going to want to make sure you put on a jacket as you're headed out the door. But Jenna's going to have more of this in Maine weather, but back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Lauren. Another big story that impacts so many people here on campus. The student loan forgiveness application is now live. Those who qualify can get up to $20,000 in student loans forgiven. OU Nightly's Romelo Woodfork is live on the South Oval with how you can apply.
That's right, guys. The application is live. The president announced the application today.
Today, I'm announcing how millions of people, working and middle class folks, can apply for get this relief, and it's simple and it's now. It's easy, it's fast. At the end of my remarks, I'm going to officially launch this new application site at studentaid.gov.
I want to stress that it is not for privately held owners of loans. However, the application only requires your name, date of birth, social security number, and email. The application does close, but not until December 31st of next year. Again, I want to stress that it's studentaid.gov, then click apply for student debt relief. And guys, I applied today. It took me no less than 60 seconds. I'm Romelo Woodfork, reporting live, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Romelo. New developments have been made on four men that went missing in Okmulgee. Dana Searles is live in the newsroom with more information about the investigation. Dana?
Yeah, Summer, four men were found in a river, shot and dismembered late last week in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, just south of Tulsa. Investigators worked all weekend recovering the bodies from the river and sifting through information from the missing persons report filed on the individuals found. The investigation is now a murder investigation. Here's video from our partners at News on 6. A search was conducted on a salvage yard and surrounding properties nearby where violent evidence was discovered on a property. The owner of the salvage yard, Joe Kennedy, is considered a person of interest, but no charges have been filed. Investigators want to speak with Kennedy again. However, he was reported missing Saturday night.
Based on information obtained during the course of the investigation, we believe the men planned to commit some type of criminal act when they left the residence on West 6th Street. That belief is based on information supplied by a witness who reports they were invited to go with the men to, quote unquote, hit a lick big enough for all of them.
The chief says this was a very violent act and they are working hard to get answers for the families of the men. Police say the person of interest's car is in police custody, but they are continuing the search for Kennedy. Reporting from the newsroom, Dana Searles, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Dana. And there's new information tonight in the Oklahoma governor's race, and it's surprising. Oklahoma-based political consulting firm Ascend Action reports that for the first time in this race, Democrat Joy Hoffmeister holds a 7-point lead over incumbent Governor Kevin Stitt, who is a Republican. The poll was conducted among 638 likely voters. 49% said they support Hoffmeister compared to 42% backing Stitt. Hoffmeister's lead is outside the margin of error of 3.6%. 8% of respondents were undecided.
While election season across the country is heating up, the January 6th committee is starting to wind down. A member of the panel says it's planned to finish its work by the end of December. But it's not done yet. Neither are people who deny the 2020 election results. CNN's Amy Kiley has the story.
All select committees, including this one, are created for the life of that Congress.
The January 6th House panel is winding down, but it's not done yet.
We're in a position in the very near future to call the witnesses from the Secret Service back in.
Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren says the committee wants to hear from former Secret Service Assistant Director Tony Ornato. Then White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson testified. He told her about then-President Donald Trump's behavior on January 6th. Her secondhand account is that Trump's protectors told him not to go to the Capitol, and he lunged at one of them in anger. Meanwhile, here's new insight about what lawmakers discussed that day.
There was some suggestion that we do it, that we reconvene the Congress off-site. Unanimously, all of us believed that was not what we were going to do.
Now, almost 2 years later, some people still baselessly deny the 2020 presidential election results.
There's plenty of evidence. We had 740,000 ballots with no chain of custody.
That's not true, according to numerous judges, election officials, and politicians of both parties. But as the midterms approach,
will you accept the results of your election in November?
I'm going to win the election, and I will accept that result.
If you lose, will you accept that?
I'm going to win the election, and I will accept that result.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The committee voted unanimously to subpoena Trump. If he refuses to appear, the Department of Justice would decide if he is held in contempt.
And a major fire broke out over the weekend in Iran. Sydney Wallace has that in the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
A fire took the lives of 8 people and injured 61 in a prison in Iran Saturday night. Official reports say that the prisoners started the fire. It is not known how the fire started, but the Iranian regime claims there is no connection between the incident and the protest movement that is sweeping the country. The cause of death for all 8 men was smoke inhalation. Back here in the United States, federal prosecutors are hoping former President Donald Trump's advisor will be sentenced to 6 months in prison. Steve Bannon has continuously refused to testify and provide documentation to the Select House Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. Prosecutors are asking for a $200,000 fine to be paid to the U.S. government. The sentencing is scheduled for Friday, October 21st. And the family of George Floyd said they are considering suing Kanye West because he made a comment on a recent podcast claiming Floyd died from an overdose. While fentanyl was a contributing factor, the official cause of Floyd's death was cardiopulmonary arrest, which occurred during the compression of his neck. While they cannot sue for defamation, civil rights attorney Lee Merritt is seeking other legal remedies. West has yet to comment. And the FDA has just announced that hearing aids for people with mild to moderate hearing can now be purchased over the counter or online. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Sydney. And President Biden spoke to some Californians about the inflation issues we all continue to experience. Stay tuned to see what he had to say about what Americans can expect.
And some Americans still have time to claim their stimulus checks. Stay with us to see how you can get a hold of your unclaimed money. President Biden addressed the U.S. inflation rates. Olivia Dague has that story and more headlines in Money Matters.
Summer President Joe Biden spoke in California last week about the country's high inflation rates. While the president says prices are still too high, he pointed out a recent decline.
A lot of people are hurting these days. Today's report shows, though, some progress. Overall, inflation was 2% over the last 3 months. That's down from 11% over the prior 3 months. That's progress.
The latest Consumer Price Index report shows that annual inflation rose by 8.2% in September. And inflation hikes are affecting teachers in Boston, who say their 2.5 pay increase is a pay cut, with today's inflation rates. Today, 14,000 Boston students aren't in class. Their teachers are picketing and say they want higher wages, smaller class sizes, and safer schools. Massachusetts law bans teacher strikes, making them pretty rare. And there might be money waiting for you. The IRS says more than 9 million Americans haven't claimed their COVID tax benefits. The IRS says many low-income Americans haven't been claiming their 2021 recovery rebate credit, child tax credit, or their earned income tax credit. Taxpayers need to file for these claims before the November 17th deadline. And just a few weeks after Hurricane Ian struck, someone in Fort Myers, Florida, won a life-changing lottery ticket worth almost $500 million. Summer, Jayden.
Thanks, Olivia. And some of the university's trees are getting a little pop of color this month. Stick around to see what these colored ribbons are standing for.
And another look into what we can expect weather-wise from meteorologist Jenna Warner. Jenna, what do you have for us?
That's right. Lauren was talking about some of those cold nights we have coming up. Thank that Arctic air. Stay tuned to find out how long that Arctic air will be sticking with us. Weather is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Not a cloud in sight out there. It's currently 61 degrees in Norman, and we do have some blustery winds moving in from the north across the metro. We're sitting pretty much in the 60s, and we did receive some rainfall this past weekend. Yesterday was a nice rainy day, and it did help the drought. As we look at the day since we last saw 1/4 of an inch of rain, the northern cities could need some help as they didn't really see much in the way of rain yesterday, but southern Oklahoma and central Oklahoma did see a good amount of rain. However, climatically, this doesn't look so pretty still. We're at 5 inches in total in Norman for the last 4 months of rainfall. 6.8 inches up in Tulsa and only 4.3 inches in the Panhandle, so we're still sitting pretty deep in that drought. And even though we had that rain yesterday, that dry air is going to start to kick up those allergies. Weeds, trees, and mold are all going to be in the medium range today and similar tomorrow, so that'll continue to kick up as that dry air continues to move in later in the week. Our lows tonight will be pretty chilly. We're going to be about 36 degrees in Norman, 33 up in Enid. We do have that freeze watch out for Norman from 2 a.m. until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So it'll be a chilly morning. When you go out tomorrow, highs will be in the 50s across the state, cooler in the northeast as that Arctic air pushes into northeastern Oklahoma more than central and western Oklahoma. So they'll see a bit lower highs for tomorrow. Walking out the door tomorrow morning, you're going to need a coat, a sweater, something. It's going to be chilly, and we won't see much in the way of a warm-up throughout the day. We'll see some cloud cover move in, but it will be pretty blustery throughout the day too, so you might want to have a decent amount of warm objects to put on, some sweaters, jackets, anything, as we have been experiencing 80s. In the weekend, Saturday, we did see a high in the 80s, so we are not used to this cold weather. Wednesday morning will be even colder. It'll be about 34 degrees in Norman, 33 in OKC, and we still have a freeze watch in effect Wednesday morning, so that's Tuesday night at around 11 p.m., moving into Wednesday morning at around 9 a.m. So now, taking a look at your 7-day forecast, we will warm up as we head through the week. We'll be at 83 by Friday, 85 by Saturday before we're watching our next weather maker come in. Model agreement's a bit iffy on that, so OU Nightly Weather will have more on later in the week. Back to you guys, the desk.
Thanks, Jenna. If you're on the University of Oklahoma campus this week, you may notice the trees have a little something added to them. The OU Rotaract have been tying pink ribbons on the trees around the campus to help promote October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This event is just one of many that the club does each month in an attempt to give back to the university community the best that they can.
So tonight we have partnered with Norman Regional Health and the university to hang up or to wrap around ribbons around trees for breast cancer awareness, really just to spread awareness for Norman Regional Health about how it's Breast Cancer Month here at OU.
To learn more about OU Rotaract or how to get involved with the organization, you can visit them or their website or follow their social media accounts to stay up to date. And for Sooner fans, it was really nice to have QB1 back on the field.
Yeah, and I'm sure many loved finally having a conference win this season. OU Nightly's Dylan Rivera has more on Dylan Gabriel's return for OU.
Oh, yeah, Dillon Gabriel was back and in a big way. Find out what he was rewarded for his performance. And behind his electric arm, the Sooners cruise to victory. We have all the details from Saturday. Sports is next. Rock Chalk Road loss. The Sooners get back into the win column with the victory over Kansas. Hello and welcome back into OU Nightly. I'm Dylan Rivera. 52-42 was the final. Oklahoma now 4-3 on the season. The highlight from the game was this unbelievable interception by defensive back C.J. Colden. But it was the offense that sparked the Sooners to victory. Parker Abels and Carly Murray have more from Saturday.
I'm Carly Murray here with Parker Abels, and the Sooners just beat the Jayhawks 52-42, and the offense was absolutely explosive, and that was thanks to Dillon Gabriel, who came back after his concussion. He passed for 403 yards today, Parker.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the way OU distributed the ball. Marvin Mims had 9 receptions for 106 yards, and Eric Gray had 176 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jeff Levy was really pleased with the way OU moved the ball around too.
The biggest thing is our guys made plays. You know, we talked a ton about that. We're going to pitch and catch, but you got to make plays, and you got to make competitive plays in certain situations. That showed up today situationally, which was great to see. So, again, man, plenty to clean up, but proud of our guys, the way they came back, fought, been inside out the entire time, and just proud of them for that.
Well, the Sooners are now getting a much-needed bye, and then after that, they'll take on the Iowa State Cyclone in Ames on October 29th.
Reporting from Owen Field, Carly Murray and Parker Abels for OU Nightly.
What's the proper way to respond from a concussion? Going for 403 passing yards, 45 rushing yards, and 3 total touchdowns. Dillon Gabriel, for his troubles, was named Big 12 Newcomer of the Week. In the NFL, the positives for OU continued. Running back Ramondre Stevenson in his first game as the main man in the backfield picked up 76 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Patriots' 38-15 win. And in a Sunday night football divisional matchup, Jalen Hurts led the Eagles to their 6th win in as many games with a 26-17 victory over the Cowboys. At the final whistle, Hurts had 182 total yards and 2 touchdown tosses. And in the Cardinals-Seahawks game, former Sooner wide receiver Marquise Brown suffered a serious foot injury. Initial reports had him missing the remainder of the season, but a test today says it may not require surgery. Brown and the Cardinals await a second opinion. Hollywood, as he's better known, has a recorded 485 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season so far. Today's a big day for the OU men's golf team. It's the Big 12 Match Play Tournament. The 3-seed Sooners, just like the football team, took on Kansas. Oklahoma caged the Jayhawks again. 5 matchup wins and 1 tie has the Sooners moving on to tomorrow's semifinal round. A lot of moving parts today for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tip-off for the NBA season is tomorrow, but Oklahoma City starts their season on Wednesday. Head coach Mark Daignault says star guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be good to go by the season opener. Today, OKC has a 5 p.m. deadline to extend Darius Bazley, so they've got about 10 minutes left on the clock. Tomorrow's season begins with the 76ers in Boston against the Celtics and the defending champion Warriors hosting LeBron James and the Lakers. Jayden and Summer, back to you.
Thanks, Dylan. And now our beloved pets are able to take part in some holiday celebrations.
See how one company helped to spice up our canines' holiday meals? Coming up next.
From the OU Nightly Update Desk, I'm Coy Taylor. Lake Hefner in Oklahoma City will be on the rise in the coming days. Oklahoma City Water Utilities is working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to raise the lake levels because of the dry conditions. Officials are drawing from Lake Canton, about 75 miles northwest of Oklahoma City. Lake Hefner is expected to rise nearly 2 feet, and this is the second time this year water has been requested from Lake Canton. Summer, Jayden, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Coy. And Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful with loved ones. But what about our furry friends?
Now they can celebrate the holidays too. Busch just released a new turkey brew for dogs.
The non-alcoholic dog brew is made from turkey, sweet potato, turmeric, and ginger.
4 packs of the dog brew can be purchased for $15 on Busch's website. Now let's check in one last time with weather to see what we can expect for the rest of our evening.
Jenna, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Jayden and Summer. Just taking another look at, we're going to look at the national view for a second, talking about some lake effect snow that's churning up north and a dry period out west as they experience some fires. We had a large cold front come through much of the nation that we experienced Saturday night, so that's kind of why we're so cold right now. Tonight in Norman will be about 36 degrees. Great night to walk around with some hot chocolate or tea if you have any outdoor plans. But I'm going to send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jenna, and thank you for joining us tonight on OU Nightly.
Be sure to tune in to OU Nightly weekdays live at 4:30. Good night.